Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and yes, Steam is running its summer sale right now, but if you go on over to our friends at Green Man Gaming, they've got their Sunshine sale right now, and if you are an XP member, boy, oh boy, can you get some phenomenal deals that will easily beat out the Steam summer sale offers, in the sense that it's the same games, but you're getting them a little bit cheaper. Or actually, in these cases, I would say considerably cheaper. The Square Enix games, we've got some PlayStation games, and a couple of other titles to mention as well. These offers are for XP members, which you just get from Green Man Gaming by buying stuff from their site. Most of you guys at this point are probably XP members. Also, bear in mind, you get a Steam key for all of these games. You redeem it directly on Steam. And you don't pay tax either, so the prices I'm going, you know, it's even cheaper than that comparatively to the Steam price points. The only caveat is because you're buying it outside of Steam, but getting a code that'll redeem within Steam, you cannot utilize a Steam refund, so just keep that in mind. With that being said, let's get into it because there's quite a lot to go over. NieR Automata Game of the YoRHa Edition for $12.80 is legitimately insane. This is a phenomenal action RPG. Gameplay done by Platinum Games, and they crushed it with this one. Soundtrack is phenomenal. Story can be a little bit confusing, but it comes together by the end, and for $12.80, phenomenal deal. And while on the topic of NieR Replicant is down to $19.20. While not as good as Automata, and yes, it is more expensive, Replicant is still very much a worthwhile game to play. The gameplay is good, albeit not as good as Automata. The story's still very good, and the soundtrack is awesome. I mean, the NieR games, as far as soundtracks go, are tremendous. Highly recommend both of these titles. They are great games and definitely well worth the money, even if they are a little bit more expensive. Generally speaking, with the Square Enix games, you're gonna be paying a premium. Like, it is what it is, you know? And speaking of Square Enix games, Neo The World Ends With You, $19.20. Love Neo The World Ends With You. It's a great game. World Ends With You, I feel like, is an IP that Square, you know, I want to say they can do more with, but guess what? The commercial success has not been there for World Ends With You, which is a bummer, but the game is great. Awesome soundtrack. Breaking Free is a phenomenal battle track, one of my favorite battle tracks out of a JRPG. But yeah, 1920 on that. FANTASIAN Neo Dimension, 48% off for $26, considerably cheaper than the offer on Steam. A good JRPG, if you really want a turn-based JRPG with a good art style, a fairly good story. I know some people were down on FANTASIAN's story. I liked it. Just keep in mind, this game can be pretty difficult, so, you know, it's a fairly challenging game, and there's an even harder difficulty option, which I would never even bother with that, bro. The normal difficulty option whooped my ass. I ain't trying to play in the harder difficulty option. But yeah, $25.99 for that. Definitely recommend that. Now, obviously, if we mention Square Enix titles, we gotta mention Final Fantasy, and there's a ton of good stuff. Final Fantasy VII Remake INTEGRADE is $24. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is $33.59. Outstanding deal. If you have neither of the games, so you don't have Remake or Rebirth, I would recommend you to get the Remake and Rebirth Twin Pack. $48 on that. That's a tremendous deal to get both of those games. $24 a pop. I mean, FF7 Remake is at $24, but to essentially bring Rebirth's price down to $24 as well, that's a phenomenal deal. Remake is great. Rebirth is orders of magnitude a better game, but you gotta play Remake. And Remake is really good. It's just like Rebirth is an excellent game. Rebirth is still not perfect. There are some mini games that I thought were just atrocious, but nonetheless, it's a really damn good game. Can't wait for part 3. And it'll probably be delayed release on PC as well, but, you know, it is what it is. Final Fantasy XVI Complete Edition is $36.39. I loved Final Fantasy XVI. I think it's great. Yes, it is more simplistic in the sense that super focused on the action gameplay, less so on, like, the RPG mechanics and whatnot, but it's a great game. I thought the story was really good. Clive is an awesome main character, just a badass main character, and you got the DLC with the Complete Edition as well. $36 and change is a great price on that. Then Final Fantasy VII OG is $3.84. Sign me up on that one. That's a great deal. Echo S mod, I've mentioned it over and over again, is tremendous. Visual enhancements, full voice acting, that's really well done, and Final Fantasy VII 7, the Remake trilogy, they can coexist. They are both worthwhile experiences to play, and honestly, your experience with Remake probably would be better if you played the original. Nonetheless, they're all worthwhile to play. If you want to play the Remake and never touch the original, that's fine as well. I can totally understand that. Some people just don't want to go back and play what is still a PS1 game, even if you upgrade it. Yeah, $384 for that, though, I think is great. Final Fantasy IV, the 3D Remake, $6.40 on this, guys. This is how I initially played Final Fantasy IV on the Nintendo DS. It's a port of that version. Actually, I think it came out on iOS, and this is the port of the iOS version. Don't quote me on that, but initially it was on the DS, and that's how I played FF4 for the first time. Loved it. The 3D remake here for $6.40. Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD Remaster, 68% off for $9.60. Final Fantasy X, for a lot of people, is the best Final Fantasy of all time. You know, generally I do see 7, 9, and 4 more than 10 as far as people's favorites, but 10 was really good, and I think it's a worthwhile game to go through. Definitely. For that price point, it's great, and you get 10-2 as well, which I don't even think is that bad, compared to what some people think of it, but yeah, so $9.60 on that. Final Fantasy XII, 68% off for $16. I loved Final Fantasy XII, even though it has an atrocious main character, like Vaughn is such a mid character, and I get the idea they were going for. He was like a normal dude that was thrust into this grand war, so to speak, and this grand story, but, you know, there were good characters like Ash, Balthier, for sure, and Ash, I think people view her more so as the main character, but Vaughn's front and center in the cover, you know, Vaughn's the main character to me, but Ash was a great character, I thought. $16 for Final Fantasy XII, great deal on that. The ZODIAC Age, really like the battle system in that game as well. I feel like nowadays people like the battle system out of Final Fantasy XII. When it initially came out, people were a little bit mixed on that, you know, it played kind of like an MMO battle system rather than a turn-based style that Final Fantasy was so accustomed to, but I thought FF12, great game on that. And then obviously, can't go recommending Final Fantasy games without giving my girl Lightning a mention with Final Fantasy 13, $5.12 on this. I am the Final Fantasy 13, you know, I don't even know what to say, the unhinged Final Fantasy 13 fan. You know what? Now I say it loud and proud. Final Fantasy 13 is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games of all time. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but, you know, sometimes these things are in flux. And honestly, I'm not even that crazy anymore about saying this. I think Final Fantasy 13, and you know what? It's my personal opinion. Final Fantasy 13 is in my top 3 Final Fantasy games of all time. It used to be the top 5. Guess what? FF13, you've now been ascended into the top 3. I would probably go FF7, then 12, then 13. You know, is that gonna get me sent to the gallows? Yeah. You know what? I gotta think about my top Final Fantasy list. Let me retract that statement right there. FF7's probably my favorite though, but nonetheless, 13. I love 13, and sometimes I just get kind of wild with some of my Final Fantasy 13 statements, since I know there's this vehement hatred for Final Fantasy 13 out there as well. But I loved it, and you know, I think it's great. Battle system I thought was awesome. Soundtrack is great. I like the story, even though it's a little bit wild, but it's Final Fantasy. Like, all the Final Fantasy stories are pretty wild. So, $5.12 for that, I think, is a tremendous pickup. Kingdom Hearts INTEGRUM Masterpiece, $48 on this. Hey, it beats out the $60 on Steam. $48 for all the content that you're getting. Kingdom Hearts 1, Ray Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts 3, and the Remind DLC. Like, that's a lot of content, and yes, it's pricey. Having Kingdom Hearts on Steam still has that kind of like wow factor to it, because it took us so damn long to get it, but thankfully it finally happened. $48 on that. A couple of other deals from other publishers. We'll go through these pretty quickly. Disney's Epic Mickey Rebrushed, $18.72. Great platformer. Originally a Nintendo Wii game, ported to modern platforms. Some UI and quality of life improvements. Great stuff. And, you know, the initial $60 price tag was a little bit wild, let's be real. But $18.72, we're cooking here with that. Spider-Man 2, 32% off for $40.79. I legitimately think the initial release of this game was one of the worst PC ports of all time. From my experience, it was an atrocity. Much better now from the recent. It really only took Nixus software 2 weeks, in my experience, to get the game at a serviceable state, which is kind of wild. Like, I guess maybe they needed to unleash the game to the masses and then get some feedback, but they fixed it up fairly quickly. It was just such a strange release, and I wish I could be like a fly on the wall, see some meetings, because the release of Spider-Man 2 on PC was just such a strange release, but whatever. The game is pretty good. I didn't like it as much as Spider-Man 2018, but from a gameplay standpoint, I think it's significantly better than Spider-Man 2018. Narratively, I wasn't as high on it as I was with Spider-Man 2018, but still a great game, and, you know, the $40 is expensive, but it just came out. Ratchet Rift Apart, $25.50 on this. Loved Ratchet Rift Apart. I thought it was a great game. I like the addition of Rivet into the story as well. I thought she was a likable character, and obviously Ratchet's never going to be a lengthy 50, 30-hour experience, 30 to 50-hour experience, but, you know, you get in, you play your 12 to 15 hours, and then you move on, and sometimes you need exactly that, but, you know, I get it. $25 for a 12 to 15-hour game might not be up everybody's alley, but I thought it was great. And then lastly, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl, $33.59. Great deal on this. Still been holding up in price. I mean, it just came out back in November. Is available on Xbox Game Pass, but a damn good deal, and obviously has some technical issues to say the least, but hopefully they continue fixing it up, and it'll be at a top level at some point. S.T.A.L.K.E.R is one of those franchises that I don't think you're gonna get, you know, a game that's completely ironed out with all the issues, but we could get into a better level for sure. But what's there, I do think, is a quality game at its core. But that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of good deals from our friends over at GMG. Go check those out. Links in the description box below. If you buy anything, I do get an affiliate kickback, which is much appreciated. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching, you guys, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.